And I think as for the front, that's probably all I would do. I wouldn't do much up here. I wouldn't want to put any path and garden lights, anything by the sidewalk here that just have a tendency to get kicked or anything like that. Do the front of the house, and then on this little guy here too, this is where I might throw a wash light. Again, softer, subtler light. You don't need something super bright. You know, these taller trees in the front are kind of more of your feature, and then you just have a nice little wash light there to help highlight that.
Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys enjoy this video with some more great landscape lighting tips. To learn more about landscape lighting, go and check out our website at lightingdoctor.ca, or if you want to see what a real quality landscape light should look like, go and check out our try it before you buy it offer, where you can get a premium quality fixture at a discounted rate with your very own battery pack, so you can go and test out how that light's going to look and feel what a real premium quality light should look like. So go and check us out at lightingdoctor.ca, or go watch more videos on YouTube just by searching for the Lighting Doctor.
Hey, Gene, yeah, thanks for your email, for your pictures here, and for your patience just getting to all of these here. Yeah, definitely just some nice subtle things. I don't think you need a ton of lights to do a nice job. I totally agree with the light pollution thing. I don't think you want too much, so that'll actually work out really good in your situation, because I don't think we need to overdo it. As for the moonlighting, I think it would be a cool effect. It just depends how you want to use that. If you wanted to use it to kind of light the walkway in this flower bed area, and can use this tree and maybe have one or two of those kind of up above a couple of these branches, maybe one pointing to the walkway and then another one kind of pointing to this bed. I think that would be really nice. You just want to get it up above one, maybe two branches. But that would be a nice way of just kind of doing the walkway without having a whole bunch of path lights there. So that would be probably the only area in the front that I might put some of that. And it would be a cool effect. It just depends. If this is too far back, the only thing you don't want to do is have it shining at too much of a side angle, because you don't want it glaring in your eyes. But I think just based on where this tree is, if you can get those two lights kind of up in here, one kind of shining down this way, one kind of shining down this way, I think that would do a nice job just to help highlight the walkway area. And then for this front section, I mean, I definitely just want to throw a couple accent lights on here. I would just stick with a standard, oh, sorry, I'll get to just a standard uplight like this when I'm talking about whether you're doing the uplights or the downlights. That's probably the light that I would use. We have some tree mounting brackets that I can, again, put in a kit and everything for you. Just let me know if that's the route you want to go, and then we can throw some of these lights in. But that's what I would use primarily in the front here to highlight these two trees. And then as I go around the front of the house, I would also use those on these two front columns. I'm always a big fan, if you've watched some of the videos, you know, highlighting that front entryway is just really key, really crucial. So if you had two of those uplights kind of on these columns, the reason I like doing that too is because as that light hits the top, it kind of spreads, and it's almost like it creates a soffit lighting look. So I would definitely have two lights up there. You might want to have a hex baffle. You might want to have a hex baffle actually on all the lights I'm going to talk about in the front, just because they're close to walking areas. So what that does, it just helps deflect the side glare a little bit. So again, in line with that light pollution thing, it'll just, you know, as people are walking by, it's just one less thing to help deflect any side glare or anything that might cause any excess light that you don't need. So I would have two of those lights there. I did just want to mention this because you do have some nice hanging branches here. You could do some hanging lights. The only thing is the hanging lights at this height are not going to be super bright. They're going to be super subtle, and they are a little bit more expensive. I'm a bigger fan of using the directional lights, like the uplights, like I talked about, up in the branches. The reason being too is because you have more control over where you can aim those. So I would probably still stick with that, even if you had to, you know, get one up here kind of shining down like this, and the other one up there shining down in the bed. I still like that better because it gives you options to direct that light better than a hanging light would. On the front of the house here, I would have two of those accent lights. Again, you want them, you know, maybe 12 inches back or so, just kind of grazing the nice stonework that you have, so it really highlights that. You will get some reflective light back into the into the sidewalk and the bed area as well. But if you wanted to kind of finish that off with some path and garden lights, what I might do is I might put a path and garden light. So, you know, just a path and garden light like this guy here, I might throw one of those kind of in the middle of the window, so it kind of lights this area a little bit. You've kind of got this one lighting more of the corner. This one's lighting the bed a little bit, but then you also might want to throw one path and garden light kind of in the middle here. And then what it does is you're just kind of creating that that symmetry on both sides, where you have the two uplights, the path light, the two uplights, and the path light. On the garage area here, I would probably try and get two accent lights as well. So I do notice that you have grass here, and I do notice that you have this. I just find that it creates a really nice balance if you can still put some uplighting here. It's not a super bright light. It's way less intense than any of these lights. So if it's to create ambiance, especially in an area where they don't like light pollution, you probably get heck if you leave this on all night. Whereas the in-ground lights that you have here that just kind of highlight the garage entryway, plus the address, is just a really nice feature. The only thing is, because it's in the grass here, you don't want to have a uplight that's sticking out of the ground. So what I would just do is I would just use an in-ground light instead. You can just put that flush right level with the grass. You can mow over it. You don't see that fixture, and then it still highlights that area nicely. I would also try and throw an accent light. Sorry, if I'm calling it an accent light, I'm basically saying accent light, uplight. It's the same thing. I would try and have one of those just on this tree here, just to highlight that. And then if you wanted to, on some of these smaller shrubs, this is where a wash light is really handy. I like wash lights, especially in your particular situation, because they're a lot less intense than an uplight. They have a frosted filter and a wider angle, and they're really good for highlighting like smaller shrubs. So I might throw one of those there to highlight this shrub. And then it really depends if you want to put, what you could do is you could put two path lights here, and then it's some nice contrast again between some uplights and some path lights. The reason I don't mind a path light here is because anytime you have these white stones, that path light really becomes, or that stone creates a lot of reflective light from that path light. So the path light tends to stand out more. And if you did it on both sides, this one also functions as kind of a light to just gently light the start of the walkway areas. So that would be a nice balance in the front. And I think as for the front, that's probably all I would do. I wouldn't do much up here. I wouldn't want to put any path and garden lights, anything by the sidewalk here that just have a tendency to get kicked or anything like that. Do the front of the house, and then on this little guy here too, this is where I might throw a wash light. Again, softer, subtler light. You don't need something super bright. These taller trees in the front are kind of more of your feature, and then you just have a nice little wash light there to help highlight that little area. And then if I move to the back, yeah, I like your thoughts again. So in the back, you always want to consider viewing angle. So where you want to place those lights is going to be where you think you're going to be viewing these things the most. I mean, if I'm looking at the house here, if you have some of these smaller kind of plant and shrub areas, this is where I like using a wash light. You don't need a ton, but it's just something that kind of makes it stand out. So as you're in the yard, you kind of have some of those features stand out a little bit. If I'm looking at these taller trees, I don't know if I'd really put any down lighting back here, because like you said, if you have some pergola lights already, I think what I would probably do on these gazebo areas, I would just highlight the nice palm trees that you have, so that as you're looking out from the house, they really stand out. The only thing is, because they are a little bit higher, this is where I would probably just increase the intensity of this light a little bit. So I would probably increase it from a 4-watt LED lamp or what we call a 20-watt equivalent halogen lamp. I would just upgrade it to a 5-watt LED. So it's a 35-watt equivalent to a halogen. And what that's going to do is, if you have it here, it's just going to do a better job of pushing that light up into the canopy. So as you're looking out, it's really going to kind of help those trees stand out. And then where is more yard here? Yeah, and then along the back fence, I mean, you got some really cool trees kind of in the back corners. I'm just trying to see where they are on the property. I'm not sure if that's something you would like, but again, this is where I would probably try and throw some lights on here. This is where I might throw a down light if you want it to be kind of a functional light for the barbecue. If you mounted a accent light here shining down on the barbecue, could be really nice just to highlight that area, give you a little bit of ambient light around the barbecue. I would definitely try and get an uplight on this tree here, and then depending where this one is too, you might want to just uplight that one in the back corner. If it's really wide canopy trees like this, sometimes I like using two. I like kind of getting it from two angles, because sometimes one light you tend to miss a lot, and by having two, it kind of creates those multiple viewing angles. So on these two kind of larger, funkier trees, I think they're probably oak trees. Especially oak trees, they're probably my favorite trees. That and palm trees, which we don't have as many of where I'm from, but I would try and accent those probably from two different angles. And then if I look along the fence, there's two trains of thought. I'm just going to get to, so if you have these kind of areas, I do like using, kind of like you mentioned, the deck and wall lights. These guys here, they come in a brown finish as well. The steel plate comes off, so you can basically just screw this light underneath any kind of lip that you have on the fence area. So you can kind of mount that there, and then I just usually run the wire down and make my connections down here. That's a really nice light if you wanted to do that on maybe every second or third panel, especially if you have some nice beds and foliage down below. It helps highlight those. But then if you don't have the lip, kind of like in some areas like this is where I like using that wash light again. And what I'll do a lot of times is anytime I have like maybe a more unique plant feature, flowers or something like that, I'll actually put like a wash light in front of it so it highlights that plant against the fence, and it also creates some shadows of that plant along the fence. And then you just evenly space those out in a couple areas along the fence. You don't need a ton, but you just kind of want to create that perimeter visual where you have a few lights along the back fence if you wanted to. That's why, because you have so much other stuff going on here, that's where I might, in some areas along the fence where you guys decide to plant some stuff, just highlight it with some wash lights, create that shadow against the back fence. I think would be a really good start. So before I put a kit together for you, Gene, maybe just go over these ideas. Let me know what you think. I would agree. You probably want a front transformer and a back transformer. They don't need to be super big because we're not talking about a lot of lights here, but that'll help just get the be able to control it separately and just make sure you have room as the rest of the house grows and stuff. You have room to add on to that system, so you're not having to buy more transformers and stuff. But let me know what you think of those ideas. If you kind of have a rough breakdown based on what I talked about of what you think you would need for lights, then I can go ahead and I can size the transformer wire, make sure you have all the appropriate connections, and go from there. And thanks again for reaching out, and we'll talk soon.
Hey guys, so I just want to show you, we're going to use our accent light a whole bunch in this property. In a lot of common areas we're going to use that is on some nice trees. We got a really nice tree here that we're going to try and focus on. But one thing I see people do too often, or more times than not, is instead of trying to get that light nice and close to the tree and having it shine up, so you're taking advantage of all the barking structure and then all the branching up top, is they'll bring it far back and try and aim it at the tree. And what happens there is they tend to miss a lot of the lower portions of the trees. And then also when it's, you know, depending on the area you live in, if you start losing a lot of foliage in the wintertime, then having that light shine at all the foliage is kind of a waste of time, and you lose a lot of the effect of that light. That's why I like having it closer to the tree. You know, here we're maybe 12, 14, 18 inches away from the base. We're going to have it shooting almost straight up because I want to highlight all this trunking and branching structure as possible, as well as now we're getting that light up into the foliage and into the canopy. So again, with our standard RS uplight from FX Luminaire, there's lots of other good ones out there. I like this guy because it's a real workhorse, and that's what we're going to use on this project. So I'll just share with you guys one little trick, something called a hex baffle. Where we use these is just to deflect the glare off the uplight. So sometimes if you have an uplight like this that's close to an area where people are going to be walking, it's not necessarily going to be pointing in their face or in their eyes or anything, but just to help keep that light a little bit more concentrated when they're looking at it from an angle, we're going to use something called a hex baffle. It basically just slides underneath the cap of your light and goes over the lens, or sorry, over the light and under the lens, and snaps back on. And then all that's going to do is just deflect the light that's being maybe portrayed that way. So as somebody looking down, they're not going to see a light shining right up in your eyes. So this is a great little tip to use anytime you have a high traffic area where people might be walking by the light, so they're not shining directly into their eyes. two other lights we're going to use on this project. These again are two of my favorite lights. We're going to be using a LF wall light. This is going to be a nice barbecue area, and they're going to have a nice stone tabletop on here that's actually going to lean over and cover this. So really all you're going to see is the lighting effect on the stonework on the base of this. I like this light because you can tuck it just about anywhere and it totally disappears, and all you really see is the effect. So we've basically got 4 of those around this barbecue area. And then the other light we're going to use is we have a nice pergola that we're going to have some hanging lights that we're going to feature on the top of these. We're only putting 2 because we don't need to light up the whole area. We're just trying to create a nice ambient light. So that's why we've chosen our VE hanging light also for this project. So again, 2 of my favorite lights, and we're going to use them in this project also. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys got some great do-it-yourself landscape lighting tips. Now, please be sure to go to our website at lightingdoctor.ca and check out our how-to page. It's full of great resources, from our podcast to our video to our most frequently asked questions. And also check out our Try It Before You Buy It light, where you can actually go now and get one of our premium quality uplights and a King Innovation Insta-Light, which is basically a battery pack now that allows you to go and run those lights and test them out on your property. Try it for 14 days. If you don't love it, send it back to us and we'll give you a full refund. And if not, you keep the light at a discounted rate and go and buy what you need for your project. So thanks again for watching. Please be sure to leave us a comment. We'd love your feedback. Have a great day.